Yo, what up, YouTube? So, this is yet another edition of the studio session predictions, and this one's going to cover the upcoming return of Manny Pacquiao as he faces Brandon Rios in Macau, China, November 23rd. Now, before I get to that, we actually got a fight this weekend with one of my favorite fighters right now in boxing today, and that is Gennady Triple G Golovkin going up against Brooklyn's own Curtis Stevens. And this fight's going to be taking place in New York, and it is going to be for Golovkin's versions of the middleweight title, which I believe is the WBO. Not much really to say about this fight in the sense of breaking it down. I don't see this fight really going past the 7th round, and I think Golovkin is going to hurt Curtis Stevens pretty bad in this fight. Now, Curtis Stevens is a power puncher. He's fought, I believe, everywhere. He's fought from 154 to 168. He fought Jesse Brinkley and lost. And, Brinkley, not big of a puncher, and, he's not the greatest boxer. I mean, he's a skillful fighter, but I think we're dealing with another animal in a Gennady Golovkin. And though the argument that's being made is that Gennady Golovkin hasn't been facing top-notch opposition. I mean, I think we really need to look at the landscape of the middleweight division. And, Martinez, I mean, he's clearly a guy that is trying to get the biggest money fight he can, and that's why I think the fight with Cotto is probably going to happen. And Peter Quillen, he's with Golden Boy. He's on Showtime. Golovkin's on HBO. Again, another thing with the business of boxing today. And to be quite honest with you, based on Quillen's performance against Rosado, who fought a 70% Golovkin, I don't think Quillen has a chance either against Golovkin. And they don't really seem to be, even though now they may be chiming away about like trying to get a fight with Golovkin, but they know they're not going to get the fight anyway because they're both tied to different networks and promotions. So it doesn't matter. There's really nobody for Golovkin to fight, minus maybe a Martin Murray after this Stevens fight, because I don't think Stevens has a puncher's chance against Golovkin. And Golovkin, we haven't seen him get hit with a really hard, solid shot. But minus that, I don't think Stevens in every department is anywhere in the league of a Gennady Golovkin right now. So he's not going to try to outbox him, and Golovkin will be prepared to do either or. So I truthfully don't see this fight going past the 7th round. So look for a Golovkin knockout in that fight. Now, on to Manny Pacquiao versus Brandon Rios. This is going to be the first fight for Manny Pacquiao since his knockout loss to Juan Manuel Marquez, their 4th fight, which sent shockwaves not only through the boxing, not only in boxing, but throughout the entire sports world. And even people who are in big sports fans, it was like, a lot of people know who the current fighters are as far as the top superstars. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you ask the everyday person who Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao are, they'll tell you, oh, they're boxers, even though they may not watch boxing. So for Manny Pacquiao to get knocked out the way he did, it was headline news all over the world. I mean, even my pops in China, he lives in Hong Kong, and he even I talked to him about it. He was like, yeah, man, they showed it over here. It was crazy. I mean, this shit was all over the world. So this is a big fight for Manny Pacquiao in the sense of really where he's at. Now, Brandon Rios, look, I mean, we know what kind of fighter Brandon Rios is. He is going to come straight forward. He's going to come right at you, and he wants to fight. He has skills, don't get me wrong, but we've seen him in fights against Abril, his second fight with Alvarado, where if you just move and box, he's not a really hard guy to beat. He's just, people compare him to Margarito. I probably think that's a unfair comparison because A, of the size, B, Margarito knew how to cut the ring off really, really well. And though he had deficiencies in the defense department, Margarito had skill. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and he had ring smarts in a sense for the experience that he had. And comparing it to Rios, I just don't think. I really minus maybe Manny Pacquiao not being there anymore, mentally and physically. I believe that's the only way Rios has a shot, and that is the big question. Where's Manny Pacquiao right now? Did that knockout affect him physically, mentally? Is his heart in boxing anymore? I mean, look, we're talking about a guy who is, he's in politics now. Boxing is, it's tough to say which is number one and number two because, fighters at that level, when they're done fighting, they take vacations and they chill. They don't go right back to the gym and start training hard. I mean, some guys like Floyd, in the sense, they'll moderately train, but there's a difference between training like that and training for a fight. So you have to think, where's Manny Pacquiao's head? Did the knockout kind of knock some sense into him in a way? Because after the Margarito fight, I think part of him was kind of feeling his own shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was kind of diving into his own ego, and that might have been his undoing in a way. But at the same time, I mean, even in the Marquez fight, he did get dropped, but Marquez was like on his way out before he got knocked out. But hindsight's 2020. So regardless of the fact, I think this is a perfect fight for Manny Pacquiao to come back and try to reclaim the throne he once had, or try to attempt to. Now, if he beats Brandon Rios, I hope people don't think that a Mayweather fight's going to happen. It's not. He potentially can go on and fight Timothy Bradley in a rematch. And the funny part about it is, I wasn't excited about the fight when they originally were doing the fight, and when it inevitably happened. But the rematch, ironically, is a lot more interesting, considering the fact that Pacquiao, since their first fight, got knocked out. Let's presume that he stops Rios, and then Bradley, in my opinion, had a clear decision over Juan Manuel Marquez. So, and then his win over Pacquiao, to me, was not a legit win. So it does make it interesting, and at least from that standpoint, we have something to look forward to in the sense of a Manny Pacquiao fight not dealing with a Floyd Mayweather. So, as far as Brandon Rios is concerned, I don't see this fight really going past the 8th or 9th round. I think Rios is tough, you know what I'm saying? But I think even Robert Garcia has to be telling him, because he's been in the ring, or he's trained a fighter to fight Pacquiao, being Margarito. He knows what's coming, and I'm pretty sure he's telling Brandon, like, dude, listen, man, this dude's coming to fight. You need to be careful. And part of Brandon Rios may accept it, or part of him may be like, fuck him, bro, fuck it, fucker. I mean, he's funny as shit, don't get me wrong. I mean, I like Brandon Rios, but I think this fight really is tailor-made for Manny Pacquiao, and I think it's a fight that's gonna make him look maybe extraordinary again, but it's a situation where he's back on the map, and a fight with Timothy Bradley can be the next thing to launch him into putting himself back in the picture for maybe a potential Mayweather fight. Because the only way, from at least finding out, because I was trying to look at Manny Pacquiao's contract when it ends, it doesn't end until December of next year. So realistically, Pacquiao would have to have another fight, and then he doesn't re-sign with Top Rank, and he does a one-fight deal with Showtime, and then he fights Mayweather. That's the only way I think that fight would ever happen. But after a Bradley fight, it's like, who would he fight after that? But in any case, I think we're skipping too far ahead. Brandon Rios, November 23rd. I have Manny Pacquiao winning by a stoppage around like 8th or 9th round. I think the speed is still going to be there. The power still going to be there. he's too quick on his feet for Brandon Rios, and you know, minus Rios landing a shot and then Pacquiao's punch resistance has gone down, I don't see how he has a chance in this fight. So I got Pacquiao TKO about 8th or 9th round. So stay tuned. Let me know what you think, and I'll be back soon. Peace.